Well, hello and welcome to the wrap episode number 32. It is Thursday, February 23rd. I'm Nathan Guerra. Anna Russel is next to me. And this is a show rounding up all things Zwift from the last week. We talk racing, we talk events, we talk tech, and of course we talk fashion. We are live on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. This is also a podcast that you can catch anywhere that you can download a podcast. Just go ahead and search up The Wrap, and Zwift should come up pretty quickly for you. This week on The Wrap, as usual, we're going to talk about what we've been doing for the last week or so ourselves in our training and racing out on Zwift. There's a companion app upgrade. It looks like we've got PR leaderboards. Going to have some questions about that, as well as how that's going to compete in the market, what it's going to be doing for our Zwifters out there. We also have the Bennett Burrito Power-Up Revelation. At least that's how Anna put it in the show notes. There's a Burrito Power-Up Revelation that seemed to happen alongside of Worlds this past week. The World Cup TTT is happening currently right now next to me, actually. Maybe for a winning time. We'll see if Anna had anything to say about that. Just prior to this, she did her TTT, and it's going to be cool to see how the results end up for the Team Time Trial World Cup put on WTRL. And of course, the Tour of Watopia is going to be launching, has been announced. It's going to be coming up in March. We'll talk all the details there. And our guest today is Alex Koh from Alex Koh Coaching. He's an esports coach specifically that has coached some of the top athletes in the world, couple that did do Worlds this past week. And of course, we've got fashion. So there's a lot. We better get going because Anna's got to get the kids on the bus or something like that. You just always got to cut off. Anna, how's it going?
Yeah, pretty good. I'm not in the production seat today. I was just thinking about it as I was watching the start. I was like, I feel so much more relaxed. I mean, this is going already off on a tangent, but I want to know, like, you've been producing this stuff for like years and years now. Do you still get nervous for production? I mean, I'm always kind of like, oh, is something gonna? I mean, you look at what happened in World Champs, like a production feed cut right when the women were finished. Like that's the stuff that just makes my heart sort of go racy, right?
Yeah, I do get. It depends on the event and whether or not we have a lot of pressure on the event. It also depends on how much preparation that I've done. So if I've done a lot of preparation, like usually not because everything just is kind of in place. And then if there's some sort of, there's usually be some backups that I have if something does go wrong, if it is a higher pressure broadcast that we absolutely need feeds. So I usually have some sort of a fallback. The other thing is like, it's kind of, so remember when I talked about going to a start line or going and comparing that to going on GCN or whatever, like I've done this enough times that when something goes wrong, let's say I'm in the middle of a race and I get a flat tire, I used to flip out. Everything's gonna end. And I still kind of flip, like when racing's pretty like, that's probably the one place where I still like flip out pretty bad if something goes wrong in the middle of a race.
Well, your heart rate's high, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like even then, like that doesn't help, right? And so, okay, stay calm, fix whatever it is, assess the situation, and just having, especially, I think one thing about broadcasting is one of the things that's super attractive in a broadcast and with somebody who is doing something live is if they just seem really natural with whatever's happening and they're just transparent. They're not trying to, it's when the smoke and mirrors try to be there. I think that's actually almost makes it worse. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so like you can make a really cool high-end production, whatever, but at the same time, if you don't, or if it kind of messes up, just being honest about it makes everybody calm down, you know? So,
well, I think on that, I think you did a great job at Worlds. It was really cool to hear you in the commentary and, you know, like bring a little bit of that esport excitement, you know, otherwise it can sound like a little bit stale. So I thought you did a great job. It made it super exciting. And I know like Worlds has been kind of, we built up to Worlds, then Worlds has been like all the talks, you know, the few days after. And now I feel like we're on a little bit of a like, we don't need to like crack into everything about Worlds, I don't think. It's been done ad infinitum. But I will be talking about the best country kit that I ended up coming up with in the top 3. And we do have Alex on who will start to talk a little bit more in depth about his experience with the athletes he coached. But I don't think we need to go into a huge rundown here between you and I about how it went down. But I will ask though, how was the time just in general in the UK other than Worlds? Did you have any cool experiences? You were going to try and find a bike or meet up with someone?
Yeah, so I didn't find a bike. I did find what I think it's called Pure Gym is what they're called. They're kind of like similar to our 24-hour gyms here. So that was pretty cool to be able to go and at least do some sort of a workout there. Outside of that, the experience of the UK, of Bath specifically, which I'm not sure if Bath is similar to the rest of the UK, but it was like, this is what I was told by the driver, okay? So like the guy who drove me there told me these things, okay? But once he told me these things, I was like, oh yeah. And he was like, there's a lot of Roman Empire influence here, is what he said. He was like, and I totally saw it once I started walking around the streets and like, you were like in stone. Like everything was stone everywhere. And like, I don't know if that makes sense, like what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think
and it was
so.
just alleyways of stone. The roads felt like they were like closer in and alleyways of stone, like, and everything was made of just like, if you see that, I'd have like a story that I saved in my highlights on Instagram, and if you look in the background, you can see this like stone church in the background. Like it's just, everything was made out of very, very durable things and close together, but because there weren't a lot of vehicles, it felt like there was space. You know, if there was a bunch of vehicles, it'd feel like, this is close, this is too close. But everything was just made for walking around in the area I was in downtown Bath, which was really nice. Essentially, though, it seemed like it was a mixture of where I was staying, which is right next to GCN Central, like their headquarters, is 3 things going on. It's like there is tourist, college town, residential, high-end residential. Like those 3 things were all happening in the area that I was at, which made this really interesting mixture for like college party nights mixed with like people just going out for a really nice dinner, like all coalescing in the middle of this like downtown Roman feeling. Anyways, I hope that kind of explains what Bath is like. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been there a few times. My brother lived there for a while, and I'd say he was more on the college party side, than the side you were probably saying. So I've seen like I've seen nighttime Bath, which was cool. So don't ask me about daytime Bath. And I do want to segue just because I'm having a look at our notes here. And one is I'm getting my mojo back. Like I'm feeling good. I didn't realize like that I was feeling wasted for a very long time after that Everest thing. I didn't quite think it was going to have that much of an impact. And now I'm feeling good. And we just did a TTT and I can hear it's the World Cup today. So the WTRL TTT World Cup going on. I raced at my time about an hour ago. Gabby's racing now, and I think they race all through today, and then you'll come out with who the World Cup winner is. And I think the winner in each class gets a bag of coffee or a voucher or something like that, so that's pretty cool. And the point I wanted to make, though, is I saw Pookie come into my stream, and he was like, wow, you've definitely got race mode on. I was like, yeah, I do. Like, have you tried? Oh, you don't. Sorry, Nathan. You don't.
Sorry. Wait. What were you going to say? What was that?
It was like on my positioning in a TTT.
No, but you said, sorry, you don't. What's my problem?
You don't have it, right? Do you?
I literally no, I don't. I literally just ordered it. I called up the local bike shop and was like, those things are really expensive. You got a deal? Anyways, we got 2 of them on the way, but no, I do not have race mode yet.
Well, if anyone from the chat can tell me if they've done a TTT with it yet. I mean, because I'm always aware that I don't want it to be a placebo as well, that my head is like, I'm better at positioning. But people were actually in my stream saying, whoa, like this positioning is crazy. Like I would pick a wheel and then I just stuck to it like glue. I never had to move away. Like it was so easy. And I raced the other night and I was testing it with people watching. I was like, I'm going to get on that guy, like the blue t-shirt guy's wheel. And then I just stayed on his wheel and he was moving around a pack of 40 people. And I'm like, oh, move up there, come back here. Like it was amazing. So TTT was great with it. And yeah, we set a pretty blistering time. So you'll have to give me a shout when Gabby finishes and tell me what her time was.
Yeah, I see that you set a 35:09. I'm getting the information through now. Somebody was actually withholding that information from us before the broadcast. I love how competitive this gets. I absolutely love it. So I had to go look it up here. We do have live images of some Gabinator here actually hammering away with beast mode. She's live over on Twitch right now, so good for her. And this is her first race back after injury, actually. First serious race back after injury where she's focusing in with beast mode. So I think there's going to be a lot of people doing their TTT right now over on Twitch, I would think.
Tell me, who's the lead male team at the moment? Is it Saris?
Yeah, they showed up. I saw them actually getting ready for this as well. I saw their preparations. They did 50. They smashed everybody. 52 kilometer per hour average.
Whoa.
Average.
That's insane.
29:21. Almost a full minute ahead of Eat during Adam Malley's. I'm racing tonight.
Oh my God.
I'm racing tonight. Now, one thing I want to point out that there was an email or some information that went out. There are weigh-ins and dual recordings for this World Cup. If you want to win the World Cup, which I love it that WTRL are doing that for this year. It's so cool to see that they're putting some verification around this. So dual recordings and weigh-ins within 24 hours. Awesome to see, and really does a great job. So it's going to be some tough competition, though, I think, tonight. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it was quite hard. It was a good course. So we had Aaron Bleakley, PC Yoda, DSing for us, which was really pleasant because I love having a good DS because you don't really have to think that much. You just do what they say. But the course was tricky. Like it goes through Titans, up, down, so rolling, which is really hard in a TT. Then kind of around then up Watopia, QOM, which again is like that real, most of it's draftable, but that first bit's pretty hard. And then kind of flat. So it was a tricky TTT, but very short too. I mean, 29 minutes for the guys. Current record holders, which is us, is the 35 minutes. We'll see. That might change very shortly, but I'll take it. I'll take it while I can. But yeah, that was fun. I haven't done a TTT for a while, so it was a good time.
Leaderboards?
Now, yeah, should we talk about that? That
Leaderboards.
came out yesterday.
Yeah, it launched yesterday. I got a few messages popping through from Mr. Schlange, Eric Schlange from Zwift Insider, and the GP Llama talking about how things are playing out. It looks like it got a little buggy, though, on the Android, because I went to go and load it up, because they were like, da-da-da-da-da, and they're, they like their Apple products, those guys. I don't, whatever. Yeah. And but then it got rolled back on Android, so I couldn't actually check it out yet. I couldn't really, so I can't really give much of a review, other than you're going to have segment leaderboards for, how you've gone on them. Have you had any experience with it?
Yeah.
Elena?
So I was quite excited about this one. So I went on and had a look last night, updated my companion app, and then went and had a look at Zwift Insider article and had a look at all the comments. And I think the comments kind of sum up how I was thinking too. Like, it is quite cool. Like, I love what they've done. Like, I love the direction they're going. So I think this is great. I don't think it's quite like as streamlined as I would like it. Like, I don't want to complain about it because I think it's great. They need this here, but I think there's probably a couple of tweaks which would be awesome. Is it wasn't like so it's done on time, which for me is almost irrelevant. Like, I don't really care so much what time I've done on a segment as opposed to the power I did on a segment, because I could have been doing or having the both together. Like, if I've done Volcano and it's been in a race, my time's going to be so much quicker because of a draft as opposed to if I did it individually. So having the two side by side, and they did that with Zwift Academy last year. You could go in and look at the segments and had time and power. So I think the two data points together would be a little bit more meaningful for me, because I often just actually don't really care so much about the time I did it, if that makes sense. Whoa, I can't hear you anymore.
But that's a leaderboard, correct? Like,
but you're the only person on the leaderboard at the moment. There's no comparison. It's just your own leaderboard.
So then if it's only yours, then okay, I see what you're saying. And so, like, are we actually going to have like that's not a leaderboard then? No,
so that's the other thing people are saying is like, is this a leaderboard?
That's not so that is I think what I heard Schlange, what I heard a little bit from Eric and Llama is like leaderboards. It's not a leaderboard. That like literally the definition of a leader. Like, I guess like you're the leader of yourself. Like, are you a one-man band? Like, I don't understand. Like, what?
Yeah. So I mean, that's what it shows. If you can see, I can't really see that, but it's kind of like it'll have a graph and it shows like your quarterly PRs. So from July to September, I did Hilly Loop Reverse 3 times, and my best time was 13:07. And when I go into it, it kind of only shows that 13:07. And then if I click on that, I thought it would delve down into more data, but it just takes you to the rides you did. So immediately I was kind of like, I don't understand, because it said it did it 3 times. It doesn't tell me the 3 times. It just tells me the fastest one. And then the quarter before that, I did it 7 times, and I did a 12:44. And then you can see each of the days I did it. But again, like, it kind of, because it's just me against me, I'm like, oh, cool. So on Jan 20th, I did 12:44, and on Jan 22nd, I did 14:13.
Yeah, I think what they need is it's just a PR board. That's a great call out in chat.
Yeah.
Michael Templeton's like, it's not a leaderboard. It's a personal
Yeah.
record board. That's really what it should be called. Leaderboard. Now maybe hopefully down the road it's bringing in leaderboard. Like, and maybe that's why, but up like then maybe future works, like, hey, we want leaderboards in the future, so we'll give you a PR board up front and we'll call it leaderboards. But guess what? Leaderboard is coming because like that's just not even, that's not a leaderboard.
Because I think
sorry, it's just not.
Yeah, I know.
The expectation. Yay, I'm gonna go in here and literally the first thing I'm thinking is like I'm going in here to compare times. It's just my times. What?
Yeah. And if it's just your times, that's why I wanted power, because then I care. Then I go, oh, that was, then I can see like how my power is tracking as opposed to like a time on a segment that
makes a lot of sense. And you can compare how you rode that segment with the power profile and see what kind of time you actually got out of the power you put into that profile.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if it's a leaderboard as well, I could see on Eric's, I don't know if he put it in his article or if it was a comment. I think it's going to eventually be an actual leaderboard where people are put there, but I think they've got to find a way of removing all those rubber banded workouts that have kind of made an issue with Strava on this. Like, there's no point looking at with your time on a Strava segment for Zwift. Like, there's no point. Like, people are doing Box Hill in like a minute, right? Because they've been like shunted through on some like rubber band thing. So I think they're trying to remove all those errors in the time so that you actually got a legit leaderboard.
Yeah, I think that is part of. I thought that was going to be up front. I thought perhaps that rubber banding was not going to be a part. No, because rubber banding is not a part of previous PRs. I think when you're going up against holographs, I think. I'm not absolutely positive, but I have a feeling that this is something they will be thinking about and writing in. If it's not already there, I'm actually surprised it's not already there.
Yeah, because I think one thing we talked about a while ago with because I love the holographic replays. I just think they're great for training. But we have talked about it would be great to like select one. So, I mean, you go select Pidcock doing Alpe de Zwift. And you go, do you know what? I'm going to like race Tom Pidcock's best time up here today and see how I go. Like, that would be like, if they can start getting that data in of other riders, man, that opens it up to some cool functionality, in my opinion.
No, 100%. Now, okay, next up, I'm going to call it just the Burrito Revelation, but because I'm not sure it actually changes it to the point that like we just need to bin it all the time, but perhaps some people feel that way now at this point. But you put it in as the Bennett Burrito Power Up Revelation. So Anna, I'm going to let you go first because what's your take on, and for those that don't know, give a little explanation about what happened that it was a revelation.
Yeah. So this was all happening the day before Worlds, and I was just getting a bit prepped with what the courses were and what the power-ups was, and I could see on Jen Reel was on our team chat, and she's the DS for the USA women's team, and she posted up a statement from, I don't know who it was, but who sent a message out to all the DSs that said, the burrito power up is a, whatever it is, 10, 15 second power up that removes the draft for all riders around you in a 2.5 meter radius. I was like, yeah, sweet. That seems totally right, what we've done before, including you. Now, that is what I didn't know. So you also lose the draft. So say there's been an attack up the front, there's a rider off the front, you go, oh my gosh, I want to bridge that, but I want to burrito people behind me so they can't bridge with me. You drop the burrito, you can't draft that person in front of you. You have now lost your ability to draft. So I did not know that. And I first person I messaged, Eric Schlange. I was like, can you tell me about the burrito power up? And he wrote pretty much the first part of it, but without the you lose the draft too. I was like, did you know that you lose the draft too? He's like, no. I was like, see this message? He goes, okay, I need to get on the Zwift Slack channel. So he got on the Zwift Slack channel, comes back. He's like, whoa, revelation. And I see he's put an article up now that says this has did not know this. So we've been going with this for so long, and we did not know it removed our draft as well. So hence the breakaway burrito, because they said it is really only useful in a breakaway situation when you're alone and there's no one in front of you.
Yeah, and that's so as far as the I don't know about like it's no longer useful, right? But you have to be very specific about how you use it then, right? Like if you're using the breakaway burrito from the middle of the pack, expecting the pack to give you that same surge that you usually get, it's just gone. Like you have no surge any longer. So the way that the burrito actually needs to be used from what we're seeing with this, from it, the reality that you lose draft the moment that you also use the burrito, it's not just everyone around you, but you as well, that you need to, if you're going to attack, you're either off the front already a little bit. That's really the only way you can do it. Like really the only way you can do it is if you're steadily moving your way off the front. You can still, though, as far as a tactical perspective goes, you can still do your roll through the pack. You just kind of need something to hit the space bar maybe for you or something, or one of those. I saw you were putting just a little side tangent. You were talking about putting a extra button from your keyboard on your handlebars. Oh. Yeah? I think there was a little, in order to hit your power up, like with a super secret USB hotkey, it sounds like you're going to be putting on.
Well, it's not super secret anymore. What are you doing? I will.
But the roll through. Okay, let me finish my point. The roll through speed can still happen, and then once you're on the front with the roll through speed, it's a split second. Bam, hit it, and then nobody's drafting on you, and you don't need a draft because you're in breakaway mode. Now, the only thing is, if you and other people are working together to create this breakaway, you better be the one on the front. Oh my gosh, how does that even work then? Because then you're not on the front and da-da-da-da. Like, I think that this just needs to get changed. In that situation, it's kind of like we have 3 burritos, right? And then, like, me and my teammates are like, we're going to break away. Well, then the person using it should at least be getting a draft. Somebody in that breakaway situation, while they're using the burrito, I feel like should be getting a draft. Because then, that's what pushes things forward.
Someone, I don't know where it was, mentioned something really good, which is like, this shouldn't be a negative power-up. So if you look at all the power-ups, they're all positive power-ups. Anvil, you go faster downhill. Arrow, you go faster. Draft, you have a boost to draft. Da-da-da-da. Burrito is the only negative one that negatively affects you and also everyone around you. What would be better is if you look at the flip side of, okay, they're wanting to have a power-up that enhances a breakaway. Okay, well, the best way to do that is have a boost power-up, in my opinion. So hit a boost, you get like a 5-second or 10-second boost to your power to get ahead. Except you wouldn't be able to use it in a sprint because then that's really unfair. Sorry, just thinking that now on the spot. But something that positively pushes you through to get ahead, like get a little gap, 3-second gap, and then you've kind of made a little breakaway and you hold it instead of like negatively impacting the race. Kind of, someone's coming into chat saying, is that why Kristen Kulczynski got dropped and got eliminated? I'm not sure because she knows the power-ups well. I think, to be fair, like talking with her afterwards, like she was just doing the best she can. Like she was sprinting her ass off against people who can sprint over 1,000 watts, right? So I think it's not my fave power up, and I just it's kind of like the Anvil before they changed it so it didn't impact you uphill. I'd always been it. Now I like it, but yeah, the burrito probably needs a little shift because I just can't think of a situation I would use it where I'm impacting my own draft so much.
Yeah, I think on that side, we could go down a whole rabbit hole of different power-ups that we could possibly have. One thing though that definitely, in my opinion, that is like at the very root of all of this about how power-ups function is that club functionality needs to match to power up. Not like we need club functionality to now go into how power ups function. That something needs to be written in that so and so is on my team, and so only is impacted by the things I am doing needs to start happening. And so if there is a negative, or the other teams, if they want to do something negative to somebody, it's only to people who aren't on their team. You see what I'm saying? Okay. And so in most video games, you have this ability that separate teams, like if I start shooting somebody on my team in Overwatch, it doesn't hurt them. Okay, like it doesn't do anything to them. If I use a power up, it only in fact impacts the enemy's team with the power up, right? And so if I have a drafting boost power up that I could use, then what would happen is everyone around me that's on my team for the next 30 seconds gets a 200% boost in their draft while I smash it on the front. That'd be amazing, right? So like, so I think the root here is that we don't actually have teams. Like if we had teams, then the power-ups could make so much more sense. And then you could also start attaching how you get power-ups with how you interact with your teams or the enemy, right? And so just that basic thing with club functionality or team assignment, I think, and how that interacts would greatly enhance how power-ups interact.
Yeah, I think so. I think you can. I mean, someone suggested to me, I think it was Jen actually, that one way you could use the burrito is if you had like teammates, say in a ZRL race, and 3 of you had burritos, is you 3 get to the front, drop the burritos for another teammate to go off the front and attack, so the draft is lost, but not for that rider. So it's like your teammates are using it in your benefit. But that takes a lot of organization and a lot of luck for people to have 3 of those. So it's not exactly like a strategy you could bank on. But I guess that's like some kind of a way you could do it. But yeah, it's go check out Eric's article. I mean, it might not be a power up that we're going to see used that often. It was hard watching it in a world championship final, I gotta say. Like it was hard to see those burritos because you could just see like the worst position to get in was where it was dropped in front of you. And you dropped one too because you just freaked. And I saw so many people do that, like just in front of them.
How many people do you think got knocked out or were in a horrible position because they were so used to the roll through speed? I think there were quite a few that I know of individuals that I've seen them with their Zwift craft is so good at finding the right position in the pack at the right time and just smashing it through that pack, grabbing a wheel, and then bam at the last moment, or just all in through the pack with the draft that they're getting, who just couldn't use that at all. And it just ended up being just pure power over that breakaway Bray. We're going to go so deep in the worlds now, though. If maybe we should wait for Alex.
Yeah. Because, we'll save that for Alex,
Yeah, 100%.
Have we got a result yet from Beast Mode World Cup TTT?
I think they smashed it. I saw. I think they absolutely smashed it. I don't know, Gabby. We can bring Gabby. What's up, Gabby? What do you think? How did it go? Should we bring her in for a second? Just for a second.
Okay, let's see how it went.
Let's bring her in for a sec. Gabs, can you hear me? Okay. You gotta speak into the mic.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. How did it go on the TTT? I saw a pretty good time. It looked like.
I hope so. I felt pretty good. 3 of the girls were really strong, pulling towards the end when everybody else was kind of tired. We lost 3 people at the end, but I think we kept like a very steady. Like we went steady. I think we finished in 30.
Well, it said 34 on the screen, but doesn't that change though? Doesn't that change, Anna? Or no?
Yeah, it
does change. So they had a minimum of a 34, so not bad. Not bad.
Okay. This is gonna be tight.
Yeah, it'll be tight. It'll be, but I think that they might be racing in Vienna Espresso. I'm not sure though. Were you racing Vienna Frappe or Vienna Espresso? I'm not positive. Anyways, looks like they had a pretty good TTT. She's going really well. Yesterday we did some power work and we were doing jumps, and 700 used to be full gas, everything she could possibly give. She was in the 750s and over 700 easily for a solid 5 to 10 seconds. And like,
wow.
Yeah. And a lot of that comes back to, I know we had Jen Reel on with the Red S thing and all that. And a lot of that comes back to just like building muscle and getting food in the body, dude. And like, she is going next level, it feels like. And like, the worry about the kilograms has been there, but like, she's like slowly getting rid of those feelings. Cause we were talking about this yesterday. It's just feelings. And the facts are, though, because the feeling is weight is bad. weight is bad,
Yep.
weight is bad, weight is bad. And I was like, in the car yesterday, I was like, what's the facts? Have you told me a single fact so far? Like, and then we went and did sprints afterwards, and she's pulling 750 watts. She's like, I was
Wow.
like, the facts. Here's the facts. Let's go. So,
Yeah,
anyways.
yeah. Nice. That's good. That's awesome. Good job, Gabby. Before we get Alex on, Tour of Watopia, they released, I don't know when that is. I've registered already. And we talked about it with the Tour de Zwift, I think it was. But I may just try and do every stage in one ride if anyone wants to join me.
That looks like a lot. That looks like
I know. What I might do is I'll do the Tour of Watopia as I go along, and then I might do every C category stage in one ride because they're all the short ones. So I think that ride would just end up being like maybe 100K or something. So
I like the Tour of Watopia this time around. I'm really digging the setups here. Now, real quickly, if you're not watching on the live and you're listening on the podcast, there's a few images going up here of some of the assets that they put out, and they are doing some cool things where you swap into like dino suits. You swap into what is a kaiju? That's like some sort of like. I looked it up, and it's like I think it's still those Japanese monsters that fight. I think like.
Oh, is it that robot thing? I remember having a robot in one tour of Mercury.
Maybe that's what it is. Okay, so you can ride in the Dino and Kaiju costumes. You get automatic bike swaps to the big wheel on descents and the Zwift mountain bike on the jungle circuit. And then you get double duration of power-ups that can be strategically placed, as well as you get double experience. So it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. But to be fair as well, like I'm a runner too. The run kit is awesome. The bike kit, I'm like giving this I'm going to score it next week or once I can get the kit on. It looks pretty, compared to other Tour of Watopia kits, it looks fresh. Like those shoes are cool. I like the hat. We're not going the backwards cap. We're going the nice, old school sort of peacup cat. I think this kit is scoring high. It looks good. And I do want to say too, kits, like I know, Nathan, you take the piss out of the fashion stuff a bit, but I've got to say, like there have been some things coming out. So there's Tour of Watopia, there's this Rafa Rising, which I think is this weekend maybe. And someone was saying like, I'm not going to do the Rafa Rising because there's not a new kit unlock this year. It's the same kit as last year. I was like, people actually choose to do things because they get unlocks. Whether they ever wear that kit ever again is another question, but people do it for the unlocks. So I'm all about it. This kit, in my opinion, is one of the best. It's looking good. It stands out.
I'd have to agree. This is a really good looking kit. I'm really liking the shoes personally. I mean, I kind of everything around with it. I guess maybe the jersey, like all the lines on the jersey itself, on the top itself. I'm not but I guess it matches all the way through. I'm digging the shoes. I'm digging the hat for sure, and I can put up with the top. I mean, I put up with gives it still like a pretty solid 7 on the top, and or 6, 5, 7 on the top, and then the rest of it pushes it up a little bit more for me. Anyways, we're getting to fashion here, but that's Tour of Watopia. You want to do the Tour of Watopia? Tour of Watopia starts officially on March 6th through April 16th. Go ahead and check that out. Start signing up for your events as soon as you can. Well, we've been talking for a while here. I think we're about to have one of our friends on. Yes, it is going to be Alex Koh from, I think it's endurance.fi, I believe. I'm going to double check on that with Alex here real quickly. But he is an esports coach. I didn't know how much Alex actually coaches. He said, like, I was trying to get a hold of Alex to have a conversation with him. He was like, well, my usual 6 hours a day of I was like, what? You're coaching esports athletes 6 hours a day? I was like, holy cow, this is crazy. I mean, it's a serious deal at this point. So, Alex Koh, welcome to the program. Good to see you again, buddy. And is that right? You've got a lot going on in the coaching sphere, it sounds like.
There is a lot going on, and it's really, really taken off the last couple of months. So it's super fun as well. I have some of the best beginners and some of the fastest cyclists in the world at the moment. So it's very polarized, the people I coach, and it's been super rewarding as well to see to see how good they've become.
That's just amazing. Really, really cool to see. And when Zwift first launched, that was up front. The first things that came to my mind, besides just getting good training in with other individuals right in this virtual world, was all the opportunities that were out there for awesome coaching experiences, Alex. And you're obviously a great example of exactly that.
Mm. Yeah, it's been. I remember in the beginning, people were so skeptical about everything, and they were saying like, why do you need a coach to race esports? Isn't it super easy? You just go full gas, start to end. But it's a bit more complicated than that. And as we have talked last time, there is a lot that goes on in this. And this past week, the World Championships as well. It's been a massive learning experience for everybody, and especially in reconning the courses, because I think that's often so overlooked. It's very far from going full gas, and the first race was pretty straightforward, but the second race was really really tricky to get the power on at the right time and to actually use the small downhills in the final to get a little bit of recovery for the finish. And we saw from Messineo particularly, he went 400 meters out, which was way too early to attack a group like that. And we saw him get caught about 100 meters out or something, and just get destroyed. So it was a super fun event, and I think a format like that should definitely stick, and because it kind of equalizes the playing field for everybody.
Mm.
In the past, like last year's Worlds, it was way better for somebody who was a pure climber and somebody with a massive 5 minutes watts per kilo. But this year, with this format, you really have to be a complete cyclist to make it to the end.
So, Alex, I mean, obviously we have you on regularly. You're our sort of go-to in the esports space for coaching. And I wanted to have you on specifically around sort of talking a bit about Worlds, because I know you're coaching Barnes and Liz Van Houweling. They both made it into round 3. And I know when, messaging you during the racing, you were like, I'm nervous. I'm right here, helping these guys out. So can you tell us, maybe lead in from sort of the week leading up to the event, what it was like for you as a coach, what your athletes were kind of doing? And then I do want to hear from you, because I know you've got a bit of a passion in this area. Like, what were you doing nutrition wise, when they woke up and they got 3 events, they're all sort of quite different. How did you manage all of that?
So the week to the event was different for both. For Barnes, there was a bit more intensity since James has been with me for almost 2 years now, and we had that epic race he won from a breakaway, which nobody expected, and that was our basically last target to go full gas before the event. And then after that, it was just refueling and tapering for the event, because the work has been done. And I think a lot of people will be interested in how many hours we've been doing with him. So it's mostly been between 8 and 11 hours in the last 3 months or so. So it's not been as many hours as people expect. And with Liz, it was 6 to 9 hours. So it was even less. And I took a different approach with both, because I started with Liz in December, and we started from a different baseline entirely, because her body was not used to switching between fats and carbs as fuel. So we had to focus a lot more on structure instead of racing. With James, we did quite a few more races than with Liz. So it was a totally different approach to the event. And with her, we opted to go with 3 or 4 workouts per week, and focusing on the training aspect to teach the body to switch between fuels efficiently, which in the end it worked really well, because she made it to race number 3, and she did really well. Both did really well, and in the end they were both 8th, so which is a massive success, because there was 86 athletes, I think, that started the field.
Mm.
So
Quick question. I mean, you're like piquing my interest hugely here, because these athletes are all over the world, and you're talking about checking in on things that a lot of people might think that you need hands-on in the laboratory experience with. Now, I don't want you to give me all the trade secrets or anything, but like you just said that you were, you know, checking on their ability to
Mhm.
use certain energy sources within a race situation. I mean, you got to be working with these athletes really closely in order to do that. You want to give a little insight into like what you mean there, how you figure that out, and only as much as you're comfortable with, Alex.
Absolutely. This is it's an interesting story. Like with James back in the day when we started, maybe 6 months after we started, he had an offer to go to get some lab testing done, and then the a little bit of background. So all the zones that my athletes have, I calculate and adjust manually for them. So this is fully individualized. As you know, there are templates on Training Peaks, and there's all kinds of different systems and so on. But as you also know, because you're a coach, the aerobic thresholds and lactate thresholds are very different in people, and it depends mostly depends what they are training. So that I have figured out a way to see from the heart rate patterns in certain intensity which fuel they are burning. And from the heart rate patterns, you can also see their hydration levels. You can see their fat utilization, and you can see also if they are underfueled. Like this is no secret, but if an athlete is underfueled, the heart rate will respond slower and slower to changes in pace, especially in high intensity. And it's because the brain needs fuel to function, and once it realizes it's getting low on glycogen, it's going to cut the sugar usage more and more and more, and that's why just the heart rate just won't go up, because the higher the heart rate, the more sugar you burn, the more anaerobic you go. So with Liz, it was pretty clear that she was going. She's physiologically speaking, she is a true sprinter, and she likes to have the race in a way that she likes to be hide in the draft. She has very good game craft, and then she likes to accelerate, keep the bunch on, keep in the draft, and then sprint to win or place top 10. And with Barney, I digress as usual. So with Barney, the lab testing confirmed basically all the zones that we have had set up, and the FTP was within 3 watts, if I remember correctly. And Barney is one of those people that has a super high end carb metabolism, so he's a carb monster, and he doesn't really respond well to eating lots of fats, but he can burn all the carbs he eats. So it's totally different to most people. Most people store carbs as fat when they overindulge, but he can basically eat as much as possible.
So if we go race morning, well, whatever time it was for Liz, but
Mhm.
what did that look like nutritionally speaking and training speaking, and go into as much depth you want to or as little as you want? I know
We
some of
didn't,
this will be trade secrets.
yeah, we didn't overdo anything. Like we had a good routine going with the nutrition and with the meals. We didn't really change all that much. So we didn't like supercharge with carbs and so on, because we didn't want to put extra strain on the digestion. So we just kept everything as normal basically. And we with both we agreed on a fueling plan for the race, and when to eat the caffeine gels, when to have the regular gels, and how much to drink, and when to have electrolytes and so on. So we did that precisely. But everything else in the diet stayed pretty much the same as we have had it for the past couple of months, because the body likes its routine. So it's not good to change it around the 3 days or 4 days past to the event. And I know this is like counter to most things that people say online, and like there is this tradition that you empty the glycogen the week before, and then 3 days before you start to fuel up and overeat and so on. But from my experience, it doesn't work so well in practice, because it usually puts a lot of strain on the digestion, and people feel a bit lethargic, and it just doesn't work really well in practice.
Yeah, I find as an athlete, the nerves will couple like the way that you're thinking about. I don't even want to use the word nerves, but the drive. I'll call it drive. The drive to compete.
Mhm.
We tend to think about we want to be that scalpel. We want to do everything we possibly can to get it absolutely precise, to have that perfection, to have the perfect race. And when we hear this idea of deplete and then load, we think, well, in the same way I do my training, I want that extra interval. And putting food in your mouth is easy. And so you just keep, instead of look, I have a feeling that maybe, I don't know, this is my feeling, is that maybe there is a method to that, but we screw it up as athletes. And how many times have I felt bloated because I just I gotta keep it's loading time, and then you're also having fun because you're eating food, and then, it's okay, and so maybe a depletion and then eating normally with carbohydrates and just increasing the percentage and not a massive amount, because a calorie increase is very different than a percentage of carbohydrates increase too, right, Alex?
Yeah. And there is also the thing that with increased carb intake, especially once you have depleted the glycogen fully in those 3 days, which are normally low intensity, like this is what people used to do, and I'm sure some people still do it, the body goes to this kind of panic mode because it thinks it's going to starve. And then all the carbs you eat, a lot of it is going to get stored as fat, and there will be extra water retention. So that's going to be a problem on Zwift because it's very watt per kilo heavy. So, and a kilo or two in a normal race doesn't matter, but on that level where 1% is different between first and 10th or 15th, it makes all the difference.
And so also then depending on the kind of event that you're in, because I could see a super endurance triathlete, maybe a longer XC race, you almost want that. You almost are I would like to have that camel. It'll be a little bit more of a camel today, but and you're gonna seriously, in an XC race, I could go to an XC race 5 pounds heavy and be 2 pounds light, lose 7 pounds throughout the day of an XC race for sure. Even fueling right. So it's really interesting on the fueling side of things.
I have a totally different approach. So it's basically what you described. So they need to go in the race a little bit heavy, especially with water. So we increase the carb intake, particularly for that reason, and we increase the salt intake for that reason, because I want them to go a little bit overhydrated so that they carry extra water, because they don't have the ability to drink whenever they want, because there's the terrain to tackle. And there's no feed stations every 500 meters where they can grab a bidon and drink. So it's a totally different ball game to road racing. And of course, esports.
Alex, I want to switch here a little bit to more of the psychology side of it. So this is the part of coaching that I really enjoy is, you can get all the nutrition right, you can get all the training right, and then someone gets overtaken by nerves and anxiety, and it's a world championship event. And Zwift racing, I think, is in some ways even worse. There's so much of the tech element behind it. Got to do your weigh-ins and your dual recording, and there's a lot of sort of peripheral noise. What did you do on the day to keep athletes in the zone of just performing well, as opposed to getting distracted and anxious with things around them?
Actually, the whole week of the event, there's, of course, as you said, there's lots of noise, and there's lots of discussions about who is in what kind of form and who has lost weight and, who has increased power and so on. I kept their focus on their own performance, on their own routines, and just hitting the workouts as we agreed, hitting the fueling as we agreed. And we talked about recovery and just 100% focus on their own process. And I didn't allow them to fall into this trap of thinking about everybody else, because it doesn't matter. Everybody else did not train like you did. They don't have the same physiology as you do. They don't have the same life as you do. So you can look at numbers on paper, but it's a totally different thing once the event starts. And as we have talked last time, it's numbers from Zwift Power are one thing, but numbers in an event like that are a completely different thing. And I'm also fortunate in the sense that both Liz and Barney are really calm, and they don't really get race nerves like most people do. So it was super easy.
So the days beforehand, like not just the week before, but we heard a little bit of prep about food and things like that. But I mean, I want to hear about what did they do the week of? Like how much rest, how much openers, and only as much, of course, we keep saying this because we're like getting all the top secrets of like this, but I mean, I think people are super interested because there are so many different things you hear out there from lots of different people. Just in passing, I'll be talking to friends about what they do, and they'll be like, "Well, I can't do that. No way. I have to do this, and or I have to do that." And like, do you personalize it? That's one question that pops into my head. If an athlete tells you, "I've always done this. This has always seemed to work," what do you do with that? If you're like, "I know that doesn't work." Like, if you're, you know what I mean? If you're like, "No, like that's just in your head. That really isn't going to do anything for you." Or do you run into that? I'm wondering too, but I would assume you do.
All the time. And I laugh because my athletes always tell me that it's my one true trait is brutal honesty. Because I don't know how to wrap it around. I just tell it as it is. And the what they have done in the past really doesn't matter. Is that I prove to them that this is what they need to do to succeed now. So, and that's the best way to win an argument and convince somebody of something, is just to show them the facts and the proof that this works better. And as far as the week off goes, it's also, the approach is different for men and women because the recovery from intensity is different in men and women. So with James, we had a few more races in the running in the 2 weeks before the event, and then we had different kind of openers for him as well. Men store also more glycogen, so you can have a bit longer intervals the day before. And cycling is such a sport that you cannot go into a short race too fresh. If this would be race across America, you want to go in a bit too fresh, but this is like 1 hour full gas. So you need to go in with a certain kind of fatigue, because otherwise the heart rate spikes too much and your legs don't feel like your own, and you produce a bit too much lactate. So your performance suffers. You're basically in the wrong zone the whole time. And so with Liz, we had 4 easy days before the event, and we had one hard workout in the beginning of the week to keep the blood plasma volume high. And then we had 4 easy days and then easier openers the day before. Really easy, real short, so maybe 50 or so minutes on the day before the event. So it was simple. And I have also with both, I have like 8 different kinds of openers the day before a race or an FTP test. And I have tested all of those with them. And then from the data, I have extrapolated which works the best.
Wow, cool.
So, and that's
I like
the best
that.
way. Yeah. When you eliminate the guesswork, it works really well.
And looking to right before, like the warm up, I mean, I've seen studies where the warm up can be as much psychological as physical. So if you do efforts, but you feel like that's taking away energy, it's not going to work for you. Or do you just have is this where you work with an athlete? Because I know personally, I just like going easy. I don't like doing any, full on efforts that I feel will take away, and I kind of get in a nice headspace for the race. But I know that doesn't work for everyone. So do you have a set warm-up protocol, or do you vary it based on athlete psychology?
I have 28 different warm-ups.
Cool.
But so I think that answers the question. But yeah, it's always different, and it's I adjust the warm-ups based on their feedback and based on the level of fatigue. So if they are like doing a 3-day event or 3 races back to back on Zwift, the warm-up on the first day is very different to the warm-up on the last day, because the system is primed and tired already, so you don't need to stimulate it too much. But if they are going in a KISS 100 race, for example, the warm-up needs to be a little bit longer and a little bit more stressful for the body, just to get the system primed, because they are fresher when they started. And again, the warm-ups vary from person to person, and it really, really depends. Depends on the day and the circumstances, and it depends what they prefer. Generally, older athletes like less stressful warm-up. So just going through the zones, like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 minute intervals, going from zone 1 to zone 4, have a bit of recovery, some 30-30s, maybe 3 or 4, and then zone 1 warm down, and the warm up should be complete 10-15 minutes before the race. No later than that. Yeah, otherwise the legs just start to cool down, and then you miss the point of the warm up.
So for those who might be getting, I mean, we just had this major event. It went out on a lot of different platforms to see in the media. World Championship for a third time. Firstly, I want to hear before this last question. Did you have like we talked all about how you coached your athletes for the event, but like how are you thinking about the event? And like, I mean, I would think as an esports coach, you're super excited about where things are at right now with the platform, but also if there's any ideas, feedback about what you think about how things could develop here, because you're looking at athletes and training them for this specific genre now. And so you would obviously have, at least to me, I would think it would bring up some things in you about what you could think would be best for the genre because you're training athletes for it.
So I think things are moving in the right direction, definitely, especially when it comes to verification. And I think that's the primary thing for any sport, is that athletes know that they are competing in a fair playground. And I think Zwift is definitely, it's in a good place now when it comes to the highest level of the sport. Community races, as you know, it's it's Wild West out there, but the highest level is really, really good. And what I'd like to see is that there are more stage race events. So something that would go from Friday to Sunday, for example. That could be like a time trial on Friday, maybe 12 to 15 kilometers, so nothing too long. And then, for example, a short hilly race on Saturday, like maybe 3 to 5 minute hill, and then a longer rolling road race on Sunday. So which would really test the limits of any athlete, and no specialist could win that. So it would be really interesting to see. I think it's maybe a bit challenging to organize, but it would be really cool to see. And this format that we have now in the highest level of Zwift racing is quite good. But it would be good to spread that out throughout the weekend, for example. And it would be good to see more sponsors, so that it's more attractive for the teams and for the athletes. And there are really, really cool stuff happening with the teams as well. The budgets for some of the best teams are quite nice, so they're attracting really good athletes. And so it's definitely, it's interesting and it's super exciting. So it'll be interesting to see where it's going to be in a year or so.
That's interesting. Anna, can you think of any genre within cycling or exercise sport in general where we have repeated efforts over 3 to 4 days like that? Like where do we see some? I mean, it's track maybe somewhere that we see that. Is there somewhere where, because in regular, I mean, right now there's a major going on in Dota, and it's gonna go all week, and it's super attractive. Like, and they have a tournament style brackets, and people are gonna eliminate, etc. And so it's a longer ask, but it's entertaining all the way through, and you watch people compete through it. And also I throw this at you, Anna and Alex. Like, can we mix together this Zwift Grand Prix / what we saw in Worlds with this kind of knockout elimination or high intensity competition over and over and over again, though, throughout a weekend? Or is there a way to do it that has that? So Anna, go ahead and go first if you get what I'm kind of getting at there.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, and if you look at IRL, the only things I think of are, one is in triathlon where they have a mixed team relay, usually the day after the main event, but that's only over a weekend. Same with mountain biking. They've got the short course, short track, and then the next day they've got the main event. But I think Yeah, I really like what Alex was saying there. What I enjoyed, and it was in the pandemic, is they brought some of the in real life USA events, like Tour of the Gila, Redlands, onto Zwift, and it made it sort of a 3-4 day stage, which was really enjoyable as a team, but also you could bring in more stories because the next day you're seeing the same riders. I don't think having those long events is the right option. I like what Alex said there, and I think in my mind, what would be really nice is because basically over my winter, so your summer, the kind of Grand Prix style racing just kind of stops and it loses momentum, and then we have to try and pick it all up again. Coming into October, if they had those maybe one a month of like a classics kind of a elite racing on Zwift, where you had the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but it was only one a month, and you just did that for the sort of 4 months over the summer. I think that could work really well. I'd enjoy that.
I'm going to jump in here real quickly. My opinion on that is, as far as world's format, so I guess we're going into that just a little bit as the last topic, or format that we're heading toward with esports. I think it comes back to the teams thing, though, a little bit, and having the ability to, if we're going to have multi-day events, that could actually bring in an entertainment value as well as a really, really compelling sport side of things. And in my opinion, just from an ethics point of view, the sport always comes first. Like, you make a really compelling thing to participate in, and then you show it off in entertainment. But the sports side of it, I think we need to have that team aspect in whatever game that we're going to have in order to have that multi-day, because people can play different roles then. And if people can actually assist each other in more meaningful ways to have, 4 teams up against each other versus, and then 16 teams total, right? And then instead of having these single individuals, it's like we can't seem to figure that part out, if that makes sense, where it's all these individuals. And is it kind of a team? Well, kind of, and they kind of work together. But if the teams could impact each other in more meaningful ways, I think that, first of all, the athletes wouldn't get as worn out, that they would be able to kind of play whatever role that they could to get success for their team and get their team through. And then from there, be able to have this continual story throughout the entirety of a tournament week or tournament weekend. Because I agree with Alex 100% that having a longer, I think from an entertainment point of view too, and an engagement point of view, you'd have this really cool situation where you end up crowning a champion after 3 days of competition. Now, the reality though also is the accessibility. And Alex started bringing up budgets and how much time commitment, pro teams. I mean, we had a lot of people who were able to participate in this, who also, Zoe Langham, second place overall, is a doctor. You know what I mean? And so we have that tension that starts to come in. So
is Jackie Godby, by the way. Jackie Godby.
Yeah, exactly.
Also a doctor.
So, yeah. I mean, Los, who won, is a full-time pro cyclist. I mean, that's pretty cool that they're all up against each other. I guess before we head off, do you see that tension come into coaching your athletes as well, Alex? I mean, with having in real life stuff going on in the esports space, I would think that's much higher than otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. And people that I coach, they all have different jobs. There are orthopedic surgeons, emergency room doctors, there are construction workers. So there's the total different ends of the spectrum. And that's also the brilliant thing about esports, because everyone can compete against everyone. You can race a pro cyclist on Zwift without actually leaving your house, which is it's pretty fantastic. And I don't think there's any other sport where you can do that. And the level, like I said, the level is continuously getting higher and higher. And I really like what you said about extended GC racing. That's something I forgot to say. It should be done within a team, but maybe keep the team small. So have 4 riders instead of 8 or 10 or whatever, just to limit that dominance the bigger teams would have otherwise. Because if you have 10 riders in a race that has 40 people signed in, then you have a quarter of the field. So it's not exactly fair. But if you would have 4 people maximum, I think the drama would be pretty awesome to watch.
Well, Alex, thanks a lot for jumping in with us. It's always actually extreme. Like, whenever we talk to you, the amount of insight that you have is absolutely amazing. So we have linked Alex's website actually in the description over on YouTube as well as over on Facebook. Make sure to go check that out. Congratulations on the results at Worlds. It's been really great.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course. And we'll talk to you again soon, Alex. Really appreciate you jumping on.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah,
thanks.
Cheers. So yeah,
sorry, I was just waving.
Yeah, who are you waving at? You're like randomly waving at like the screen, looking up.
My daughter was like hanging out the window. I was like, "Hi, go back inside." That was awesome. I really, really wanted Alex on for that Worlds chat because I mean, I was messaging Nathan earlier in the week. I was like, we could reach out and we could get the winners on and we could talk to them. And I mean, that would be really cool. I mean, you can go check out Zwift. I think he's interviewed the men's winner. But I think I just wanted the insight more so from someone who is coaching people who are making it into that final round. And I know a few people might have been watching Worlds and going like, I race ACAT. I wonder, like, if I focused on it this year and if I really like dedicated some time to it, could I get there next year? I mean, these are the things you're hearing now. Is like what kind of training looks like. You know, for Liz, it was 7 to 9 hours a week. It's not unaccomplishable to, if that's even a word, to try and get there. And this is the lead time you need, though. You can't be sitting here in October and be like, I want to go to Worlds. You need to start looking now and going, yeah, I need to work on these things. So if you're motivated to go do it, I think, maybe get in touch with Alex or just find yourself a coach and start getting on a plan and working towards it.
100%. Well, next up, as usual, it is the fashion show. And here are your picks of the week. Rate them 1 to 10. Comment and chat. Let us know. And your pick for this week on the jersey was the best country jersey equals Finland, in your opinion.
Yes. Yeah, I like how Finland has 2 ends there too. It's like
I was wondering about that.
Land. So I actually picked 3, and this came out on top for me. So during the broadcast, I was watching, and I picked Hong Kong, Finland, and Aussie. And I hate, like, New Zealand and Aussie has a bit of like a rivalry, so I hate that. But their jersey looked spot on. It was awesome. But kind of looking a bit more, and I really liked the Finnish jersey. This is Teppo sending me this image. You can't see from the back, but it kind of had swirls of that white and the different colors coming in. Love just the black, simplistic black shorts with those blues mixed in on the top. It looked really cool. So I picked Finland as the best country jersey from the World Champs. And when I put it in for rating, I mean, I got to say the average was around 8. I mean, some people were voting at like 1,000. I think those were the Finnish compatriots. But yeah, I'd say this came through at a solid 8 for this one.
Yeah, I think I gave it an 8. I'm pretty sure. And actually, when we were at GCN, I was looking through. We had a sheet in front of us with all the country kits, and I pointed it. I was like, "That's Finland. That's got to be Finland." And everybody was like, "Yeah, that's got to be Finland." I was like. And they were like, that's really different. Like, everybody was like, yeah, that really stands out. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I actually pointed it out a little bit during the commentary, but I think my mic was off. That was the one time my mic was off. I pointed out Teppo. Anyways, I definitely really love the kit. We were making between everybody for the kits at GCN, we made, and everybody was like USA. Most of the people had said they really, really liked the USA kit. Anyways, as far as the country kits go. But pizza socks, that's the garage pick of the week. Where did you get these socks, the pizza socks? It's like a level unlock, right?
No, it's like a challenge unlock. So,
okay.
Yeah, so this was a challenge from. So this is how far we've come. There was a challenge in like 2020 maybe, where whoever could burn the most calories. I was like, oh god, they would not do that again. I don't think, but that was the original challenge that unlocked pizza socks. But then they redid a challenge for them in 2022, where you could unlock them for doing some kind of a race. It was in March last year, March to May, through Z Race Central. that you could unlock these pizza socks. So you didn't have to burn all the calories. You just had to do a couple of races and events. So yeah, I thought I just like finding these really obscure unlocks that I don't think many people have. And they look pretty cool because they look like fire socks until you see the bit of pepperoni pizza on the
those
side.
Those are cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I have those. Yeah, I think I missed that event. Yeah, I miss all the events. That's just me. Yeah. Well, what about this kit? This is the Fashion in the Field kit. Anna, of course it's Anna, in the Rhino kit. Thanks to Gordon Sloan. I'm assuming that's what's happening here. I saw the chat about this in Discord.
I know.
I saw the top secret request, and suddenly Anna has a Rhino kit. Ugh, the favoritism. It's thick.
I know. So I've got to shout out and say thanks to them because I don't go out asking for kits, but sometimes people are like, I'll unlock our kit for you. And I'm like, I always feel like I've cheated it a bit because I haven't done anything to get the kit. But the Rhino guys, shout out to Gordon. He unlocked this for me. He was like, it's in your garage. And so the next race I did, I chucked it on. And I put it on with some flair and style, I think. I've got the two-tone Tron, which you can't tell too much there, but perfectly matches the kit. So it's the dark purple and light purple. The pink socks, which go with the detailing of the Rhino with the pink headband. And then I actually went for the Specialized mixtape bike shoes. Not so much because it looked good from the side, but from the back, all you see is the hot pink, which again matches the Rhino logo on the back. So yeah, shout out to Team Rhino. I put them in my top 10 kits of 2022. I've got to say, it is probably the top kit on Zwift at the moment. I would say, like, every time I see it, I'm like, it looks amazing. I'm so stoked that I can wear it now. So thanks for that. Every time I'm not racing for my team, I'm rocking the Rhino kit.
Now, last up on the podcast, something I'm adding real quickly in here. Head on over to the Discord. It's actually my personal Discord. We have a Wrap Discord channel in there. And I want to make sure that we're highlighting all the community race series that are out there that are very well organized. We have a promo your stuff here space, actually. And there's a lot of stuff going on out there in the race community. BL13 currently have a race series going on that's going from February 13th all the way, or 15th, excuse me. So it's already happening here. I believe happening all the way through somewhere in March. Go check that out. There's 12 rounds actually of that. That might even go into April. Rhino Racing Series also has stuff going on as well all the way through the 1st of April. That's over in the promo stuff. As well as Electric Spirit Co. have something starting on March 28th. We've got the Coalition Chase races coming at you again. There's tons of stuff that you can go ahead and check out that the community is throwing into that Discord channel. We're going to try and get some assets together to promote those community race organizations as well and what they're up to. So that'll be added on, and maybe we have time for that because Anna's already got to jump out the door. But that'll get added onto the wrap because we definitely want to highlight what the whole community is up to with the racing that you can go and discover for yourself.
Yeah, I like that. At some point, my time zone will change. So this will be like 6 a.m. for me. So then I don't have to jump off and literally
get
run
up
to
earlier.
School with all the kids. I'll have to get up earlier. So I'll be having 3 coffees during the show. But yeah, there are some awesome events coming up. So I'm pretty excited for a lot of those. I know as well that Tour of Aseni, or the Aseni Women's Series, is celebrating Women's History Month. So they've got some cool events coming up in the weekends, which look really awesome. So yeah, there's a heap out there. And I know ZRL Playoffs will have Cy Bradley on. I think it's next week. He's going to do route reveals and talk throughs of all the playoff events for ZRL. But yeah, then after that, it's kind of open slather and you can get your team amongst some different community races. Quite exciting.
Yeah, and then next week, for the next week, what are we up to? I am going to be doing tiny races on Saturday. I'm doing TTT tonight. I'm doing some recovery on Friday. And then I think we're doing PRL full on Sunday as a base ride. So there is a lot of training going on. We just started our first week of our coming out of base, like base mixed with some intensity, and then it's going to go full on into intensity after this one. Our first race is at the end of March, actually, in real life for Gabby and I. So it is get super serious ready time for that. Anna, what are you up to?
I've got a friend coming over from Australia who has challenged me to a crit race tomorrow in real life. So I'll be...
This is great. Everstein ultra marathon crit race. Like it's like that's been like your in real life like timeline. This is crazy. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, this is like you following structure, me just being like, "Whoa, that looks fun! That looks fun! That looks fun!" So yeah, I'll be doing a crit race tomorrow, and then I'm actually doing a live broadcast. Hence my question at the start about being nervous for broadcast of a in real life triathlon event happening. So I'll be broadcasting actual cameras and things. So that'll be nervous, but a bit of fun. And then I think I'm going to take Sunday off. I think just chill. I've actually ridden myself.
You're not joining us for PRL. You're not doing the PRL full with us.
To be honest, if I see like pop up like Gabby and Nathan are Zwifting, I might be like, whoa,
jump in.
I'll go do some of that. But no, take a bit of a rest on Sunday and get back into some structure that I've set myself for next week.
Sounds awesome. Sounds awesome. Well, this has been episode 32 of The Wrap. Episode 33 will be coming at you next week with Cy Bradley. We'll also be doing some hype around the finals for the Zwift Grand Prix that is next week, Friday as well. We have been live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. You can also download this as a podcast in all places that you download podcasts. Go ahead and search up The Wrap as well as Zwift, and it should pop up for you. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next week. From Anna and I, as always, right on.